Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome John Bradshaw Layfield.
I've got it for him. It's fine. Once he's in. Your steps over here.
What an honor this is. Give it up one more time for JBL.
I'm not used to anybody cheering me, so this is different.
Welcome to Liverpool, sir. We're going to take it to the fans. If you have a question, please raise your hand. My co-host with the most, Chris, will be on hand to come to you. Thank you, Chris.
They make me run.
But before we get to the fan questions, how are you enjoying the UK and For the Love of Wrestling?
I'm having a good time. When I was with Ron, I came over here a lot, and I was never sober. So I'm actually seeing England for the first time that I remember.
Fantastic. We've got a question right over here.
Hi, JBL. Thanks so much for coming. So, obviously, with wrestling, it's a busy schedule and you're always on the road. But what's the one thing that you miss now you've got a bit of downtime?
The one thing I miss about wrestling, it's the boys. You know, when I come over and I get to hang out in the back and talk to the guys, that's what was so fun about the business when I was part of it. We didn't have internet. We didn't have social media. We didn't have cell phones back then. It was just us. And that's why you have so many crazy stories coming out, because we were bored and we wanted to be entertained. But it created some of the greatest times ever. It was so much fun being in the locker room, just bullshitting with the guys, having a good time. And that's what I miss the most is being around the guys. And girls. There weren't that many girls back then, so except for Medusa, who, by the way, Medusa has a huge crush on me. Uh-oh. So if y'all see Medusa, you can tell her we know you love JBL.
Oh, yes, please do. That's a Liverpool exclusive right there. We've got
Liverpool exclusive. Medusa loves JBL.
Trending now on Twitter,
Question here.
hashtag Medusa loves JBL.
Hi, JBL. So I was just wondering how the whole JBL gimmick first came about, because it was a bit different from Bradshaw. And did you think it would be successful as it was at the start?
The JBL character came about when they needed somebody to face Eddie Guerrero. So I had an idea for a long time to be this character. It was kind of a ripoff of J.R. Ewing in my mind. Vince McMahon saw it as something else. I'm not sure what he saw it as, maybe kind of a modern-day million-dollar man, Ted DiBiase. But he didn't want me to do it because I was doing so much with the troops overseas. So I was going to Iraq and Afghanistan every Christmas. He didn't want me to be a heel. And then all of a sudden you needed somebody to face Eddie Guerrero. Kurt Angle, I want to thank him because he was hurt. And Big Show got hurt. Brock left the company. They needed somebody to face Eddie. And it was really a one-off. I don't think they planned on JBL being around that long. But thankfully, because it was Eddie Guerrero and he invested so much in me, he really wanted me to succeed. Because of Eddie, the JBL character succeeded and ended up being around quite a long time.
Yes. So many fun memories. Got another question?
So 2 exclusives. I want to thank Kurt Angle for allowing JBL to exist, and Medusa loves JBL.
Yes. Question right over here on your right.
Here we go.
Who did you personally have chemistry with in the ring? Who's your favorite to wrestle with?
No doubt about it, Eddie Guerrero. I wrestled The Undertaker, I don't know how many times, probably 100 to 200 times. You know, I was the top heel in the company in 2004, 2005. He was the top baby face most of the time, on and off. Some guys would rotate in, but I wrestled him every single night, Undertaker. Every night was different. Every night it was all called out here in the ring. He just wanted to feel the crowd. Eddie was the same way. Eddie was the most amazing guy I've probably ever been in the ring with. Maybe Shawn Michaels in 95, 96 was about the same. You know, greatness is, you know, how do you measure who's greater? They're both great. But Eddie was just amazing. Eddie couldn't put together a match to save his life sitting here. But if he gets in the ring, it was magical with Eddie.
Awesome. Question right here.
Right here. Shout it out, madam.
Hiya, JBL. This is not a wrestling question. I seen you with a Wales Rugby top hoodie on yesterday. Are you still a supporter, and are you going to come over when WWE comes over?
I hope to come over to. I'd love to come over to Cardiff. That sounds like a lot of fun. And the Welsh hoodie that I had on yesterday, I started up a rugby program in Bermuda to work with at-risk kids. In fact, I'll help with build rugby field and schools down in East Africa, in Malawi and Tanzania and some different places, some of the poorest areas in the world. So I've been associated with rugby for quite some time. Because I use that working with kids. I work with the kids program in Memphis right now and some of the worst child poverty in the USA. But my buddy that worked with me in Bermuda, a wonderful man, Gareth Noakes, he's Welsh. And so we went over and watched Wales play South Africa in Twickenham, and that's where I got the Welsh hoodie. Unfortunately, Wales lost, and it was a horrible trip back with Gareth. So, but I did get a Welsh hoodie out of it.
That's a fantastic question. Yeah.
And by the way, Nigel Owens, the referee from Wales, that's such a great rugby referee, he sent me a jersey one time from the World Cup, still had the microphone clip on it and everything, to raise money for my kids. So that's another reason that I like the Welsh and the Welsh rugby scene.
Cool stuff. Direct me, Val. Where am I going?
We've got questions on this side. There's a lovely Macho Man
should we go with the
shirt.
Macho Man, brother? Okay. Yep, go ahead.
How you doing? Just one quick one. When you finished up and retired, did you end your career with any regrets from, like, was there something you felt you should have accomplished that you didn't?
Yeah, for any regrets, not really. I wrestled a long time. I would have loved to have wrestled 5-10 more years. I finally kind of figured out how to wrestle, and it tends to happen. Once you figure it out, you got injuries and you have to retire. And I got to wrestle with Shawn Michaels right before it in about a 6-week to 8-week angle. That was a dream come true. But I got to wrestle from Hogan to Dick Murdoch to so many of the great, Roddy Piper. I spent so much time in the ring with Roddy, all the way up to Roman Reigns. And so I had a wonderful career that I was hoping to be a wrestler when I was a kid. The dream became reality, and the reality far exceeded the dream. It was wonderful. The only regret I'd have is I'd do it all over again if I could. I loved every second of it. I'm glad now to be the old man looking back at the kids, but I loved it.
Great answer.
Beautiful. Where are you sending me? Right here. You, sir. Those are very clean sneakers.
Thank you. They're brand new. Out of the current roster that's on now, who would be your dream opponent, and what gimmick or persona would you use to fight them?
A dream opponent. I worked well with monsters, like Big Show, Undertaker, Kane, guys like that, because JBL loved to be a coward. So I'd love to work with Brock Lesnar. I wrestled Brock Lesnar a lot when he first started, but that would be a dream come true for me because I could just be the ultimate coward with Brock. Roman Reigns to me is kind of the same. I'm afraid he would have to be the baby face because I don't think anybody would cheer me still, but there's some really talented guys out there that I'm very impressed by.
Cool stuff. Right.
By the way, I love. I
Gentlemen.
got to meet MJF for the first time. What a fantastic talent he is.
Hi, JBL. Just want to know what your thoughts were when the first Brawl for All was announced, what the thoughts amongst you and the boys were, and then afterwards as well.
Yeah, about the Brawl for All. I got called on a Thursday by Bruce Pritchard, and he said, you want to be in a shoot fight on Monday? And I said, why would I be in a shoot fight on Monday? Because we're doing a shoot boxing tournament that's going to allow wrestling. And I said, you're going to stick me in the ring with Mark Canterbury, aren't you? Henry Godwin. And he goes, no, it's a shoot draw. I said, you're going to stick me in the ring with Henry Godwin to start this off, aren't you? Because they want to see two big country boys hit each other in the face a lot. And when I got there, sure enough, I was with Henry Godwin the first. He says it was a shoot draw. I don't buy that. I thought it was a stupid idea. I told him at the time I thought it was a stupid idea that you're going to have somebody win that you don't expect. They thought Dr. Death would win it. Dr. Death 10 years ago would have won it before the tournament. He was a badass. He was like Ken Shamrock. But Dr. Death that was in that tournament was 10 years older and had a bunch of concussions. And that wasn't the same Doc. And then all of a sudden they get this shoot tournament. They don't really know what to do with it. I thought it was a stupid idea. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the training. But the idea itself, there's a reason they hadn't done it since.
Well said. We've got questions over here. Anyone has a question, just raise your hand, please. Chris will come find you.
Okay. This gentleman was quickest, and he's just swapped hands because he's clearly been doing this for a while. Right. I'll hold.
Hi, John. I saw you were on a bit of a tour of Liverpool yesterday, a Beatles tour. I just want to see what the highlight of your Beatles tour yesterday was, and what's your favourite Beatles album?
Well, I lived on Penny Lane in Athens, Texas for 25 years. So I had to go see the original Penny Lane, which, by the way, there's nothing there. It's one little sign. I expected something to be there. I was quite underwhelmed by it, but it doesn't matter. That's the Beatles. You love seeing history like that. It was a terrific tour. Yellow Submarine was my favorite. I loved the Beatles growing up. Really enjoyed all their music, everything that they did, and so it was cool to see. I've been here before and been to the museum, been to Strawberry Fields, and been to some other places. So I just kind of wanted to go see Penny Lane.
Thank you.
Cool stuff. Right. Excuse me. Coming through. This gentleman here has been very persistent.
Renee Young has said recently, like, how much fun she had with you and Cole on the road. Have you any funny stories, and how did you find commentary in, like, overall?
With Renee or with commentary overall?
Yeah. Oh.
I didn't do much commentary with Renee. We did the JBL and Cole show, which became the JBL and Renee show. She's incredibly talented. She's a wonderful person, and I loved working with Renee. I wish she was still with the company. She's doing her own stuff, and I know she's very happy. But she's an incredible talent and an even better person.
Wonderful stuff. Cool. I'm just going to work my way around. Okay, go ahead.
Hi, John. Who's your Mount Rushmore of wrestling?
Mount Rushmore wrestlers, that's going to be tough because it's hard to choose, say, starting with number 3. In my opinion, it's all your opinion, of course, when you do something like that. I think Bruno Sammartino has to be on there. Bruno sold out the Garden 187 times. That's unheard of. The WWE was built on Bruno Sammartino. Buddy Rogers was the right heel for Buddy to win that title from, but Bruno did a job that I don't know if anybody else could do. And then when Hulk Hogan came along, he took sports entertainment, professional wrestling, whatever you want to call it. I know people get pissed off, whatever you call it. He took it to a new level. He was on the cover of Sports Illustrated twice. Hogan had that movie. I mean, those two guys have got to be on it. After that, I think it becomes tough because you got some wonderful champions. I mean, you got Stone Cold, you got The Rock, you got The Undertaker, you got Shawn Michaels, you got Jack Briscoe, Harley Race, Ric Flair. Those guys are all great champions. So I would have a hard time. I could do a top 10, but I couldn't do a top 4.
Cool. Thank you very much. Right. Just by the way, save your arms until we ask for questions because a lot of people are there and I don't want anyone getting repetitive strain. We have a question here from the man.
Who was your favourite opponent to wrestle?
My favorite opponent to wrestle was probably Eddie Guerrero. Wrestled Eddie a lot. He had more interest in my career than anybody. It was an amazing chemistry with Eddie. Eddie was such a giving guy. Eddie was a groomsman in my wedding. I did part of his eulogy. We were really close friends, which we had to keep secret for a while because we were opponents in the ring. But also The Undertaker. I really enjoyed The Undertaker. And as far as me and Ron, we loved the New Age Outlaws. Those guys are awesome. And in case y'all didn't know, Medusa loves JBL.
I keep hearing that. I think I saw it on the news. We've got a question
I'm
right
behind you.
sir.
Sorry to crane your neck.
Did you enjoy your singles run most or your tag team run with Ron? Because you always look like you had an amazing time drinking beer, playing cards. Which one was your most enjoyable?
I would have been happy retiring as part of the APA. I love being around Ron Simmons. In fact, most of the conventions I do, the only question I ask is Ron going to be there? Ron doesn't want to get on a plane, so it's hard to get him over here. Ron and I are best friends, and we have been since the day we met. And it was a wonderful run. Ron was older than me. And he wrestled a lot longer than he should have because he cared for me. He was injured. He probably shouldn't have been in the ring the last couple of years, but he did it because of me. But then when he retired, that's when I got a chance to do the single run. So as far as enjoyment, being around Ron, for me was always the pinnacle of my career.
Fantastic. We have a question at the front here. Go right ahead.
Sorry. If you could wrestle anyone, past or present, who would be your best opponent?
Great question. And it'd had to be somebody, I guess, that I hadn't wrestled before. Probably Magnum TA. Oh, yeah. I think Magnum TA would be unbelievable to be in the ring. He was on fire. If he hadn't been in that car wreck, Magnum TA would have been world champion a long time. Lex Luger, I think, would have also been. He had such an incredible look. I would love to have been in the ring with him. And I'd love for Ricky and Robert to be in their prime in the same territory as me and Ron during their days. I think that would have been a lot of fun.
All right,
We
more
go.
questions over here.
We
to
have
the
one
left. Yep.
down here. Yep.
Thank you.
Who had the best clothesline in wrestling apart from you?
Did anybody throw a clothesline other than me? Stan Hansen, no doubt about it. But Stan just knocked your head off. I mean, Stan literally he said he was blind. That's bullshit. Stan just loved hitting you in the face. I love Stan. He's a good friend of mine. He was a wonderful mentor to me, and I respect when I say I love Stan, I don't mean that facetiously. I really do love Stan. He's been so good to me, but his clothesline was the best. But I don't think there's any doubt about that. But he just knocked your head off. It was unbelievable how hard he would hit you.
More questions right here on the left.
I'm going to go with someone very nearby because I'm lazy.
Hi. So if you had a wrestler just starting out, what would your the best advice be? Just list them off. Yeah.
I think it's tough on wrestlers now. And the reason is because when I started, I wrestled in Texas, which was completely different from Memphis, which was completely different from Charlotte, which is completely different from Florida. They were complete different styles. Then I'll go down to Mexico and wrestle, which is a complete different style from anything in the States. I went to Puerto Rico and wrestled, which is a different style. I wrestled in Europe for 2 years for Otto Vance and Peter William, a complete different style again. And then in Japan, I've been in Japan probably 30 or 40 times. I had so much that was in the bag when I got to WWE from all these different places that you had to wrestle, and you had to figure out how to get over in a different way, which is tough because every territory is different as far as how to get over and be a top guy or get paid. And the kids today don't have that. And I think that's a real disadvantage to them. I don't know how you would go just to a PC and come out and all of a sudden end up on television and make it. I never wanted to learn on national television. People don't forget that. But these kids are having to learn on national television, which I think is really tough. It's the problem with Tough Enough when they had that program, reality show. You get a guy like The Miz, and you got all these millions of dollars of TV time in him. He's never wrestled a match. And then you put him in a ring, and he's over. Everybody knows him. But he's wrestling his first match. The fact that The Miz succeeded, I think, is a real testament to The Miz. I think it's just incredible because I don't know how I or anybody I started with could have done that. So I think it's a real disadvantage to young kids today to not have the territories like we did.
Fun.
Yes.
I mean, look at this one here, this fella.
Oh, wow, okay.
He's, no, I'm kidding, I'm coming. Here we go.
We only have time for maybe one or two final questions.
Basically, if we clear a little way, can we look at the fine apparel that these gentlemen are wearing as well?
Great shirts.
It's not the always pound. Never mind.
We decided against those ones.
We love the APA. We love JBL. We love Ron Simmons.
Can you tell us about the time you wrestled a bear?
Yeah, I wrestled a bear in college, and I lost my scholarship over it. Yeah, so I was an All-American my junior year in college in football, and we had a bad team that year. We were like 3-7. We were pretty bad. And so the coach decided to do this stupid drill where you'd put a guy out there and somebody would fight him, and I'd go out every day and somebody'd fight me, and I hadn't lost. And some freshman came up to me and said, "How do you think you would do against a bear?" Well, I remember Paul Bear Bryant wrestled a bear, and I said, "Oh, I'd kill a bear." I understand. I'm 21 years old. I think every kid that's 21 thinks they can beat a bear. So they signed me up to wrestle this bear. And when the bear gets there, they tell me, and I didn't think they were serious. I'm signed up. The place is sold out for me to the local All-American to wrestle this bear in a bar in Abilene, Texas. I get there and I think it's got to be a 300-pound bear. I'm almost 300 pounds. I get there, it's 8.5 feet tall. It's 800 pounds. And this bear almost fucking killed me. It was like National Geographic. It was unbelievable. The bear went ballistic on me, went crazy, knocked me under some tables. I've got my college roommates trying to pull my arm and my leg out from under this bear. The bear licked all the skin off my ear. It bit my hand right here where you can still see the scar. I mean, the bear would have killed me if they hadn't pulled this bear off of me. The worst part was I go into the athletic director's office the next day. This is before cell phones now, way before cell phones. Nobody had pictures. Somebody had been to a 1-hour photo and left the 1-hour photo pictures in the training room. Well, the school I went to, you couldn't go to a bar. It was a very strict religious school, which obviously I didn't fit in very well. And the athletic director says, I've heard some crazy things about you. Did you wrestle a bear last night in a bar? And I said, you know how stupid that sounds? I said, did I wrestle a bear in a bar? I said, come on, man, you just asked me if I wrestled a bear? And he said, so your answer is no. And I realized he's got something, but I don't know what. And I realized the only way I'm gonna stay in school is if I lie. So I said, no, I did not wrestle a bear in a bar. He threw the pictures down in front of me. He goes, what are these? I said, oh, you said bear. They took my scholarship from me. I had to walk on my senior year. I was a returning All-American and had to pay for my school to go back my senior year because of that bear.
Oh,
bastard. And I never forgave him.
That's the story of the day
Yeah,
right there.
that's
We've
amazing.
got time for one final question before he gets back to the autograph and photo op area.
Okay, we got one more question here. Here we go. Sorry, it's behind you again, but such enthusiasm.
You're a big fan of ribs. Did you ever rib Ron?
You're a big fan of ribbing. Did you ever rib Ron?
Hell no. Have you seen Ron? Ron and I never had a crossword. And I would play little jokes on him, but not ribs. You know, we travel together, so I don't want to get in a ribbon contest with the guy that I'm traveling with. Plus, it's Ron. I had so much respect for Ron. You know, I just did whatever he told me to do. Still do. And I'm very happy to do it. He's a wonderful man.
Just very selfishly, everyone's got a Ron Simmons story about something he said to him and some advice, because you were under his learning tree. Do you have to send us home if you got a good story about Ron?
Well, I don't know if it's a good story. I got a bunch of stories. So I'm sitting in the dressing room in Austin, Texas with Terry Funk and Colonel Parker. And they've decided that's when the pyro first started, blowing up under the ring and stuff. So Terry Funk has decided he's going to sue Vince McMahon for $20 billion. He's going to go underneath the stage and get his head blown off by the pyro. Okay? And I just told you what Terry Funk took 3 hours to say. He's got this whole idea mapped up. Him and Colonel Parker, I am so sick of hearing this shit. I said, me and Terry are tagging that day. I said, well, I'm going to go check to see when we're on. So I went up to the ring, and there's Vader, Leon White, and he's laying underneath where the pyro was. Vader had been in the dressing room with us. And I said, what happened to Vader? And he said, you won't believe it. He went under the stage when the pyro went off and got his head blown off, and he's hurt. And I just started laughing. And they said, this isn't funny. He's hurt. I go, there ain't nothing wrong with him. So I went and told Terry, I said, Vader just stole your $20 billion idea. And he said, what are you talking about? I said, Vader just got his head blown off by the pyro. Well, Vader had been on the road. He just wanted to go home. He wanted to go home. So Terry comes out, and there's Vader laying on the floor. And Terry starts laughing. They go, guys, this isn't funny. Vader's hurt. I said, there's nothing wrong with him. No, I said, you don't understand. So finally word got around what had happened. The next day, Vader comes in the dressing room. He's still on the road. He's miserable. He hates life. He walks in and says, guys started laughing when he walked in. And he goes, guys, this isn't funny. He goes, last night when I walked on that stage, he said, my heart stopped, and I had to restart my heart. And Ron said, now let me get this right. You were dead. And everybody started laughing, and Vader goes, fuck you, and walks out. So for years, people would always say, now let me get this right. You were dead.
That's a good Ron impression. I'm sure you've honed that over the years.
I've traveled just a little with Ron.
Just a little bit. Any final thoughts for our amazing fans right here in Liverpool?
Oh, I thought I was going to ask for a question. I'm going, shit, I must be boring. Nobody.
Final
Sorry.
thoughts from you for our fans here in Liverpool.
Yeah, I'm glad. Thank you for having me here. I've always enjoyed coming to England. Years ago, William Regal got me a backstage tour in Buckingham Palace, which is so freaking cool. In fact, I got to serve beer in the Queen of England's bar to all the staff. And I get there that night, and I'm supposed to just do a promo, and I find out I'm wrestling the Big Show, and I am bombed. But I've always enjoyed coming over here. The exchange rate's always been against us, so it's always been tough for Americans to come here. But now it's getting a little more equal, which you may not like, but I enjoy very much. But it's always been fantastic coming over here to the UK. So thank you very much, as always, for having us.
Thank you. What an honor to have JBL here with us in Liverpool. Give another round of applause to John Bradshaw Layfield. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And don't forget, Medusa loves me.
Oh, and yes, quick reminder, Medusa loves JBL.
Medusa loves JBL.
Loves him.
She does. I'm like her dream. It's what I am.
Yeah.
Who loves JBL?
Medusa.
There goes Medusa's dreamboat. Give him a round of applause, everybody. JBL. Right here, day one of For the Love of Wrestling rolls on. We've got more Q&As coming up right here. And again, Future Shock Wrestling will be live in this very ring at 6 p.m. We'll see you soon.